Welcome back to the Sales Show, everyone. The average buyer today has done more research before your first call than most salespeople do in their entire deal. So, what's actually in charge of the sale? You or them? My guest, Gail Kasper, has spent decades studying exactly this shift, and she's got a surprising answer. Welcome, Gail.
Hi, Simon. I'm excited to be here. This is awesome.
We are all about sales. We love sales, and whatever is changing, we want to know it. Now, you just wrote a full book about it. So let's do it. What is the big shift? What's changing?
And the essence of the structure of the sales process is there. So it's there. But we've shifted back from online to face to face. So more relationship building, more contact that's visual versus doing behind the scenes versus sending messages through LinkedIn. It really is turning more into a face-to-face interaction. And the level of our presentation has to be that much higher. We have to be presenting the value, our value proposition, the relationship building, all of the things that are in essence, the critical pieces of the sales process have been taken up a notch. So we're not just able to just go in and wing it anymore. We really have to have a plan, have gone through that plan, have thought about it, have gone through the process, have scripted out how it could potentially look, and move that process forward.
Everything is transparent now. When people look us up, they see the reviews, they see LinkedIn comments, they see everything, right? Does that help the salesperson or hurt them right now?
Looking somebody up to get the details helps you. It's always going to help you, but we always want to make sure that it stays current. So if you have new reviews, new testimonials, new thoughts, new posts, new information that you want to share online, make sure that you are keeping up with it. There's such a thing as consistency. That is key. So sometimes people will say, well, you know what? I don't get the chance to post that much. What's more critical is that you're doing it consistently. So if it's once a week, you do it once a week. If it's twice a week, you do it twice a week. Make sure it's current, it's there, you're consistently doing it so that people have that internal clock and they say they can anticipate it, they can see it. And that's where we really build the following. We start to build more credibility and people start to reach out to us.
Your latest book is Sell Like a Cockatoo. What can we learn from a bird?
Oh my gosh, I know, right? All right, so the reason people say, why cockatoo? Why cockatoo? Two main reasons for cockatoo. First of all, they have 60-year lives. So when we stop and think today, okay, what's my goal, my ultimate goal? I want to have a customer that's going to be around for 60 years. And that's obviously the extreme version. But we want to make sure that we have long-term customers, and cockatoos are around for a very long time. The other piece of that is that cockatoos dance. So when I say dance, the sales process is really a dance. What is your body language saying? Your tone of voice saying? What are your words saying? Because when we are in that sales presentation, the customer is picking up on all of that. And inside that book, there are 50 plus body language and tone of voice techniques that you can put to use immediately to create more rapport, to create the relationship that you're looking for.
I have seen a lot of sales recordings where the conversation went wrong and people did not pick up on the body language. What are the most common body language mistakes that you're seeing? Clues people don't see, don't look at?
Yeah. And at the end of that, I want to give you one that they do look at. That is a good sign. But some of the things, like let's say that you're involved in a conversation with a customer and they all of a sudden back up in their chair. So they lean back. That is a sign that now they've separated themselves and there's a lack of interest. If they start to cover their mouth or their nose, meaning now they're starting not to trust you, not to believe you. If their blinking rate increases, it is a sign that they either don't understand what you're saying or they don't believe what you're saying. The same is if somebody takes their glasses and puts them on the tip of their nose, they don't believe what you're saying. You may have seen people that furrow their eyebrows, their eyes get real squinty. Now that they're questioning you, they're wondering what's going on. They might get fidgety. You might see them like clicking a pen. They're either anxious about something or they're challenged about something. And for any of these reactions, we want to make sure that we are in a spot to stop, to slow down, because we have a tendency as sales representatives to just keep talking. Because if we keep talking, maybe we can get them through it. We actually have to do the opposite. Slow down the process. Say to them, you know what? I feel like you're thinking about something. I feel like that, there's something going on in your mind. What is that? Did I say something that threw you off? We are looking for how to slow it down so that we can get them back on board with rapport in the relationship. And the thing that I was going to say to you that is a sign of interest, of wanting to buy, is them asking more questions, them thinking. So the hand on the chin. Hand on the chin is they're actually trying to figure out a way to say yes to you, but they don't want to say yes very quickly. So in a situation like that, we want to make sure that we continue to sell the process, the value proposition, and ask them questions to keep them involved in it, and eventually go for that close.
What's the role of emotions in sales?
Oh, it's terrible. It's good and bad, because emotions, if you see your customers super excited and that, wow, you feel like, oh my God, they want to buy. They're in. We have a tendency as sales representatives to think that, okay, I got this closed. I'm going to skip over steps of the sales process when we shouldn't be doing that. So a lot of times we see that positive emotion from a customer. We skip over steps of the sales process. We get to the point of the close, and the customer puts up the wall and says, I have to think about it. So emotion can be a negative thing. Emotion can also be a negative thing in terms of, okay, I'm out there cold calling, or I'm trying to reach customers. They're not getting back to me. I'm exhausted. I feel like I keep getting punched in the face over and over and over again. And, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. And I don't feel like doing it today. That's emotion. Logic is you have the plan in place. I have something called the systematic attitude development technique. It's another one of my books, Unstoppable, 6 Easy Steps to Find and Achieve Your Fire. That entire book is about the systematic attitude development technique, because the key to success is really having that plan and following that plan, regardless of how you feel. You make that plan, you prioritize it in terms of what are the things that if you did them would produce the greatest positive results in your life, and you tackle it. I mean, think about emergency personnel. They don't run from a gunshot wound. They are trained to manage it. Our military personnel, they have been trained at the highest level to deal with stress. They just go through a very logical approach. And we need to do the same thing in sales.
Same thing.
Mhm.
And you are very athletic. I think for people who do a lot of sports, it's normal. Like we don't wait until we feel to go to the gym. We go to the gym because we know we will feel better afterwards, and then it becomes easier, right?
Yeah, and I don't know that it's ever easy. I can't say. I think I you get into a good habit of going, but there are days that I would just be like, you know what, I can get so much more done in my morning if I don't go today. But yet, the health element, the fitness portion of it is so important, and it is a part of my job. So it becomes discipline, instilling discipline to do it. But you're absolutely right. You say to yourself, okay, I don't feel like going to the gym, but then you go, you're glad you did. You feel good that you did. You feel good about yourself. You feel good if you just have a regular meal versus, oh my God, did I eat too much today? So it's so important that we stick to those plans and exercise discipline.
From the body to something completely without a body, AI. Is this actually helping business owners with sales, or is it a hype?
I would say it's absolutely helping, but it's how you utilize it. Meaning, I wouldn't want to use AI to put my letters together. I want the letters, like a letter, to come from me. I want it to have that personal feel that I'm connected to whoever it is that I'm talking to. So if I get little messages online that people are selling me something, it just turns me off. There's no connection to me with that. So letters, I would say, is certainly use it for grammatical issues, grammatical changes, but we want to keep things simple. AI sometimes can make things very complicated. The other part of AI, though, that I love is the research piece. So you want to do a competitive analysis. You want to come up with different alliances that perhaps you can pursue, different opportunities that you can pursue. Like that's a great resource. AI is like Papa Bear, man. It's got everything there for you, and it brings that summary together so that you can then move forward and build more business for yourself. So, and it's also a great resource just to give you that pat on the back. You could go in there and say, okay, I've done this, this, and this, and it's going to give you other ideas. So stimulate the ideas, refine those ideas through your thoughts, through what you bring, so that you can go out there with AI completely equipped and armored up.
What's the one question that most salespeople never think to ask, but they should?
That's a good question. One question that salespeople don't ask that they should. It's so different for so many different sales representatives because we all have a tendency to want to go to the value prop. And this is something I see over and over again. Meaning, a customer might say, this is my challenge, this is what I'm going through. And I'm like, oh my God, this is great. I have the product that can fix this. So instead of saying in questions, like, tell me more about that. So what's going on? So what's the problem that occurred? So instead of digging deep, which I talk about a lot in Cockatoo, digging deep to get to that return on investment so that that customer feels the problem, feels the challenge, feels the cost of that challenge. And then you come in later with that solution. So the biggest challenge I see with sales reps is that we're ready to go for the sale. We hear the problem, boom, I got the solution, let's talk about it. Slow it down. Get back to more questionings, find out what happened. If you can get that customer, this is one of my secret tools, but I'm going to give it to you, Simon.
Oh, guys, it's the secret tool. Take your notepad.
Evidence stories. Evidence stories. If you can get that customer to tell the story about the problem, and then later on, you're the one that fixed that problem, you're going to then take that information to your next sales call. So now you have a story of how you fixed the same problem for someone else and the details that go behind that. You want to build as many evidence stories as you possibly can so that, because the evidence stories are selling for you, you don't have to do it. So there's my secret tool that sales reps haven't been doing, that
Evidence
need to be
stories,
doing.
guys, evidence stories. And
I think you're the first podcast I shared that on. So Simon, you're special.
you heard it here first, guys. When you hear it's too expensive, what's actually happening?
Well, sometimes to them, it may be that it feels too expensive, but what they're really telling you is, I don't see the value. That's what they're saying. They're saying, you know what, this is the cost, whatever, but I don't see the value. So, I mean, that's an objection. It's a common objection. But my rule for objections is that you have to have 3 comebacks before you ever decide that you're going to negotiate price. 3 comebacks. And those 3, 2 of those 3 are really revolved around your value proposition. How do you turn it? Okay, you're saying it's too expensive. In which way, Mr. Customer? Which part of it? Because one of the things that we talked about is I bring X, Y, and Z to the table, and my competitors don't do that. Well, it's still too expensive. Well, I totally get that. I understand that. But you also had mentioned to me that you're experiencing this challenge and it's costing you time in the process. What's the cost of that time? Because when we come in and we save you that time, in the long run, it's going to save you money. So we've got to make sure that we have those comebacks so that the customer can feel that, wait a minute, there's value here. Because if you relinquish and you go to price right away and you all of a sudden start negotiating, what you've said is there's no value to my product. There's no value to my company. All this is numbers. So sell you, get back to value.
Which chapter of your new book is most alive for you?
I would say the chapter on questioning is most alive for me, just because we have a tendency to talk more than listen, and to stay in the listening mode, regardless of what they say to you, but to stay in listening until You have gotten all the information, all the needs and the wants, the dig deep questions in terms of return on investment. Until you have gotten all that information, you can't possibly talk about your product. And there is one more when I talk about value proposition, because one of the things that's different today is that you've got to know your value proposition like you could recite it in the middle of a marching band. You've got to know it so well. I go into companies, one of my specialties is customization. And so I customize at a super high level, meaning I'm going to go in, I know your value proposition, I know your products, I know how to ask the questions based around your products, I know the objections you're going to face, I can give you the tools on handling those objections, but I don't want to know your value proposition better than you. It should never be that I go into a company and I know it better than you do. So to sit down and say, take the time, what's the history behind this organization? What's the history behind the products? How are they made? What makes them different? What do I bring to the table as a sales representative? To refine all those tools, write it down, memorize it. And you know what, Simon? You're going to get people that say, I don't want to sound scripted. I don't want to sound scripted. I get that. You're going to sound scripted until you know it. But when you know it, you start to add yourself into it. Then you're not thinking about words anymore. Then the script is gone. It's a part of you. So if it's a part of you, you start to add more of yourself into it. And that takes time. So one of the biggest challenges I see with sales reps, they don't want to give it that time. You got to give it the time. You got to give it the time in the prep.
How do you work with your clients? Is it more coaching or training? Is there a specific cadence or duration?
Um, It could be, because I customize, it is everything from a keynote speech to a multi-day program, depending on what the needs are and what they're looking for. So one of the first things that we do is we sit down and we just say, okay, let's take a look at your team. What are some of the challenges that are going on? And what are some of your goals and objectives with that team? And from there, I design a program, whether that is a half day, full day, multi-day program. And, I will then go and not only interview managers, but I'll talk to the team themselves to find out what's working, what's not, how things are going. And then from there, the program is developed. It is written, it is customized specifically for them, which means that I do not have two programs that are alike. There are no two companies, two challenges that are the same. So I look at every single company on an individual basis to be able to customize specifically for them and address those issues, and then give the tools to the sales reps so that they're in a spot that they feel empowered and that they also feel like somebody gets them. So it's a lot of time, Simon. It's a lot of time to prepare for presentations, but it is specifically designed, whether it's the length, the time frame, and what the contents are for the client. And I will incorporate, by the way, coaching into that. I am also an executive coach. So there is an opportunity where, a manager will say to me, hey, I have a specific sales rep. They're challenged in terms of building business. Can you help them build more confidence with that? Give them the tools to be able to build a stronger book so I can work one-on-one with people at the same time. So a lot of group, but can also be one-on-one.
What's the worst sales advice that you are hearing out there?
I would say the default is AI, is to be utilizing or doing too much AI to encourage, which is not really encouraging, but we're on our phones too much. To get away from the texting, the emails, the LinkedIn messages, and get to, how do I connect with this customer? How do I get them on the telephone? There's like 60% of people that don't even check voicemails today. So we've got to get away from that and start to step up and put ourselves in environments like networking events, places that there are customers and clients that we can connect to. Conventions is another one. So whether it's conventions or a networking event, how am I going to build that contact with potential client opportunities? So stay away from our phones. Let's get back to being face to face with people.
And is closing still a skill, or is it just a symptom of a good relationship or a bad relationship according to your method?
Yeah, it's both. Both. I mean, one of the things that the book emphasizes, Sell Like a Cockatoo, is all about refining your skill sets, because a customer looks for that in you. When your confidence is there and you're calm and you're slowly moving through an objection process to move toward that close, the customer feels that. And they're like, okay, this is why I do business with Simon. This is one of the reasons I want to utilize Simon. This is why I'm going to buy from Simon. So you're more likely to sign on the dotted line. The relationship is there. You believe in me. Don't shortchange the skills that you need to have in place to make yourself successful. Do it. I don't care how long you've known that customer, because I will tell you that they're constantly seeing, they're constantly viewing, they're constantly getting emails from competitors. And at one point or another, they're just going to say, you know what, let me just check them out to see what this competitor has to offer. You want to keep yourself at the top of your game. What's new? What's different? What's happening with your company, with your products? What's changing? You're always enlightening them. So this way you're current, you're present, and you've got the relationship there.
A lot of listeners say, "Oh, I know I should do more prospecting, but I don't I don't I don't know how to do it in a very valuable way." What would you tell them? What's a good way to do prospecting?
I would say get to a trade show, get to a convention, get to a networking event, get yourself out in the public. Unless you have that opportunity as a sales rep where you can walk indoors, because I still encourage that. There's no harm in trying to set up an appointment or walk in the door, or you're in a specific area, you have a specific region. There is no harm in that, because you will eventually get that appointment. But get to those networking events, get to those conventions, because that's where you're just going to meet the people face to face. So that's where the relationship will start. You can even host a happy hour at a convention. So now you're the star, you're the center of attention, you're hosting that event, and you invite those people to attend.
Nice. What excites you? What's next for you?
I am thinking about writing another book, but I'm not going to go into the details yet. So I am thinking about that. Continuing, obviously, my speaking platform and my coaching platform. So to continue all of that, and really to tackle some new and different industries. I love a challenge. So whatever the field is, to go in there and actually, wrap my arms around it and help people become everything that they can. Like there's nothing that beats that for me. I love to see the growth and development of teams. And when I have a team in front of me, they're like my kids. I want to see them all be successful.
Who should contact you and who should not contact you?
Sales executives, sales leaders within organizations should contact me. If there are sales associates that are, or independent consultants that are looking to refine their presentation, that want a VIP day with me, they should be in touch with me, because we can schedule independent time to just develop your presentation exactly the way that you want it within a day. So whether you run your own business, you are a consultant, even if you're a sales associate, or leaders who are looking specifically more for training versus a VIP day. So that would be my demographic.
Perfect. Gail, Kasper, everyone. And where can people find you?
Go to gailkasper.com. So, and Kasper is with a K. So it's GAILKASPER.
Thank you so much, Gail, for being on the show. You also have a bonus for listeners, right?
That's exactly right. You get a free copy of the book. You can download it yourself. And Simon has the link. He's going to make sure that you have it. So enjoy. Let me know how you do with it. Absolutely, let me know.
Thank you, Gail, for being on the show. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much for having me. Bye, everybody.